So it's rare when the national media jabroni haircuts actually give the Vikings the time of day, and Pro Football Focus has been notoriously tough, but also accurate on the Vikings offensive line for the last couple of years, where Garrett Bradbury has been, if not the worst, among the worst centers in terms of PFF grading over the last 3 years. They've been down on Oli Udoh and Drew Samia and Pat Elflein and Dakota Dozier, etc. But they did up the rankings for the 2022 NFL offensive lines, and I thought that they were relatively fair where they put the Vikings at number 19 overall. Now, 19 and rising, but overall, I think that is pretty good and pretty accurate, and they actually called a spade in this case. So I'm going to go through the rankings. Now, again, I don't like that they have themes for the tiers. It's something that we've talked about a lot, just because if a team is higher in the rankings or should be lower in the rankings, but they don't fit into the tier, or they do, then that affects the ranking. But whatever. But they have the Eagles at 1. So now that's interesting, where Lane Johnson is still good, but he's not like Lane freaking Johnson from a couple years ago, man. So he's getting by on reputation. Jordan Mailata has come a long ways. He's a legit stud. Got Jason Kelsey, yes, and Samalu, as well as Landon Dickerson. Nice. Yes. Yeah. All right. So I don't know if I would put them at 1. I would actually put the Browns up at 1, but I understand because you have Nick Harris coming in, the former late round pick out of Washington, replacing J.C. Treader. But I mean, you got Wills, Bitonio, Teller, and Conklin. Like, what else do you need, man? Anyways, but the Lions up at 3 is a little bit surprising. So Decker, solid left tackle. Penei Sewell, I think, is going to be a star in this league. Jonah Jackson, who I loved out of Ohio State, is a fantastic outside zone guard. Frank Ragnow, the pride of Chanhassen, is one of the best centers in the league. And then you got Big V. You just got to put him somewhere. Paid him all that money. But interesting that the Lions are up that high, and Jared Goff was still screwed up. The Bucks, even though they had a couple retirements as well as free agents leaving, whatever, they did get Shaq Mason. So now we get into the So the greasy, grimy Green Bay Packers up at 5. Now, there's a lot of issues with this ranking, and they're in the tier of high floor, blah, 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 blah. How are you telling me with a straight face that the interior offensive line trio of John Runyon, Josh Myers, and Royce Newman is high floor? Like, you can't. And yes, Bakhtiari is a stud. And yes, Elton Jenkins is an absolute stud, monster. I love them. The Vikings, frankly, should have taken Jenkins over Garrett Bradbury in 2019 and then played Jenkins at center, but we've already crossed that bridge. But you have 60% of your offensive line, big question marks. And the remaining 2 guys are coming off of injury. Jenkins tore an ACL last year. David Bakhtiari is still easing his way back from that ACL. So how are they 5? It's just flabbergasting. Again, we gave PFF praise for putting the Vikings at 19 as opposed to 26 or 27. But how are the Packers 5? I just do not... I cannot fathom for the life of me how this can possibly be true. But I digress. 6, Cowboys. Now, I mean, the Cowboys lost Lyle Collins, sure, and you got the rookie Tyler Smith. You got Tyler Biadasz, the stupid Badger. Zach Martin is still a stud. Tyron is starting to wane a little bit. Terrence Steele, whatever. That's getting by a little bit more on reputation. Patriots 7, sure. The Bengals, where they had one of the worst offensive lines in the league last year, let's be honest, and they still made the Super Bowl, and Joe Burrow would have hit Jamar Chase on that 9 route if they would have had a little bit better protection against Aaron Donald, but what can he do? But they signed Ted Karras and Alex Kappa and Lyle Collins, so they completely remade their offensive line in free agency. Love to see it. Chiefs, I think the Chiefs are a little bit low. Yes, you got Lucas Niang coming in, but he has been solid at times. Orlando Brown Jr. is out there. I think Jumpin' Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith is probably the best interior offensive line trio in the league. So how are they 9, and then the Packers are at 5? I think we know. I think we all know. But also, I mean, the Chargers, I guess Trey Pipkins, they did get a ZJ, whatever there. So high-end potential. You got the Jets, you got the Niners, you got the Commies, you got the Browns. How is an offensive line with Charles Leno as your left tackle, how is that potentially high-end? I don't understand that one. Also, I do think that the Broncos are a little bit too low. I mean, Bowles, Reisner, Cushenberry, Glasgow, and Billy Turner. Even though you got Billy Turner in there, it's not bad. Not bad at all. Then we get to the Vikings in 19. At least one good tackle. Again, these stupid themes, whatever. You couldn't put the Vikings in high-end potential. And it's interesting because they have Ed Ingram listed at right guard, even though I do think that Jesse Davis as well as Chris Reed will have the inside track to start at right guard. But who knows? Maybe Ed Ingram will blow up training camp as well as preseason. There you go. But here's what they wrote up. This could sneakily be the best offensive line of quarterback Kirk Cousins' Vikings career. Much of that, though, comes down to the development of the team's 2021 first-round pick, Christian Darrisaw. Darrisaw earned a 71.9 overall grade on 652 snaps last season and got stronger as the campaign wore on. And so all the question marks around the offensive line. And again, yes, I know it comes down to theme where Brian O'Neill is the solid piece, but this entire offensive line write-up, you write about Darrisaw as opposed to Bradbury, as opposed to who's going to start at right guard. I don't know, man. Like, Darrisaw is going to be fine. Like, first off season where he's been fully healthy for OTAs, minicamp, training camp, preseason. And yes, I mean, last year when he came back off of the surgery, he was good. Like, he was thrown into the fire and he succeeded. So Christian Darrisaw, I think at the end of the season, you'll see that he's top 12-ish left tackle and rising. You know, one of the best young left tackle stars in this game. And if they can fix the interior offensive line with Ezra and Bradbury and whoever starts at right guard, I think the Vikings will have the best, yes, like they said, the best offensive line that Kirk Cousins has had in the last 5 years. And I think that they will honestly be rising. Like, if they did a rankings toward the end of the season, could the Vikings be flirting with the top 10? Sure. And I think that the Vikings can certainly win with that. Plus, this they poo-poo this because PFF hates the running game, but this offensive line unit was already elite at run blocking. You know, they need to work quite a bit on pass blocking, especially interior, but they already got half the game down, man. Like, so actually, I take that back. Well, I applaud PFF for not ranking them in the late 20s because that's what you expect from the national media. But now that I think about it, I see the teams around it. I mean, how are the Vikings not in the top half of the league? I don't know. Like, how are they not in the high-end potential is what it is there. And then one last thing. We're going down in the early round. Sugar, we're going down, swinging at problematic, tier 6. So you got the Raiders of Colton. You have Colton Miller, who's one of the better young left tackles in the game, but he cannot hold up this entire offensive line. That's rough. Steelers. And then you got the Bears at 31. You got the Seahawks at 32. That's rough. But, I mean, Cody Whitehair is pretty damn solid, but that's really it. I mean, Tevin Jenkins coming off that back injury, a lot of big question marks. Larry Borum was a rookie last year who's thrown into the fire as well. And that's it. Signed Lucas Patrick, who was the veteran backup swing interior guy from the Packers. That was your big move? Cool. And again, Justin Fields needs protection. Justin Fields is akin to Kirk Cousins in that they need protection. And if everything goes right, they can look great. But once Justin Fields gets a little bit of pressure on him, it's not pretty. And the fact that they have the second worst offensive line in the league, they got worse in front of him, it's rough. It's rough, man. And Ryan Poles is a former offensive lineman. What the hell, bro? But, again, is what it is. But, yeah. I gave PFF a little bit of praise to start, but after I thought about it, now they're still on the list. But, hey, if this offensive line can get going, say Ed Ingram does win the right guard job, say Garrett Bradbury does get his ish together, say Darrisaw does rise up like a phoenix and is quickly becoming one of the best left tackles in the game, woo, sky's the limit, baby. Sky's the limit. But that's it. Your thoughts are our thoughts. PFF ranks the Vikings the 19th best offensive line in the league. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skull Production Value.